Welcome to Finding Joy Live. I am so glad that you're here listening to this right now. And I'll tell you why. I love to do live recordings because there's something magic about being in a moment, right? And to do a live recording about this topic is pretty magical. So the title we have today is a little sassy. It's a little sassy, isn't it? How having a pool impacts happiness. It's almost like a little thumb, right? You're like, oh golly, she's got that and whatever, right? And the truth is, I do have this. This is not virtual. This is reality right here. Okay. And the reason that I'm talking about it is because I am not someone who ever thought they would have a pool. I certainly am not someone who ever thought they would live in a paradise like this. And this is what my life turned into when I did the work that I teach people. So, this is why I want to tell you about it today, is because these are the results. So, the first thing I want to talk about is like, what is a pool, right? What is your pool? What does it pool really mean, right? And then what is happiness and how do we cultivate it? And how do we get those two things together in the same place? Okay, so if you're with me, please put a comment on whatever platform you're on. We're live on a couple of different platforms. And I would love to interact with you if you happen to be here. If not, you can always reach me and you can always interact with me about this. One of the places it exists is on Facebook in the group, and the other is on YouTube. So you can always, even on replay, put a comment. I would love to kind of talk about this, right? Let's get a little bit real about how a pool impacts happiness, right? So the first thing I want to say is that when I talk about a pool, even though that's my reality, that's not what I'm really talking about, right? So for me, I'm not somebody who even has liked to swim in a pool up to this point in my life, right? So I found something that fit my needs and was like the most amazing that I could think of in that moment. And that's really important. So what happened for me is that it's a process. It was a process to get from where I was to where I am now. The pool, for me, represents calm, ease. I love the color of it. I love looking at it. I love going in it. I love how easy my life gets, how nice my body moves, how everything feels really good, right? All of those things when I'm in the actual pool and when I'm looking at the pool, and that is all really important to my day-to-day living, right? It's like, what do you want in your day-to-day living? Do you want ease? Do you want fun? Do you want some sort of beauty? These are the questions that lead up to that moment where you go like, that's the place for me, or I want to visit that place, or I want to make sure that I know about something specific, right? It doesn't have to be a physical place that we're talking about. For me, it was. For me, I said to myself, so most of you know, many of you know, that my world fell apart, right? My business fell apart. My husband got sick, passed away, and my house sold. All like lickety split, quick. And then I didn't know what to do. And so I waited. And I talked, and I thought, and I felt, and I went through that portal of change until I felt like I can't wait anymore. This is my moment. I got to do something here. And then I had to go one little step at a time, right? I said to myself, what's important to me? For me, my cats are important to me. For you, it might be that your children are important to you, or your freedom of movement is important to you, right? So, for instance, I love a city. But I decided at this moment in my life that what was more important to me was the comfort of my cats over my ability to go find vegan food easily. um, and so I said, okay, this is what's important to me. Let me look at it. Let me find it. Let me continue to go back and forth with it, right? Let me go into what the dream, let me take the dream into my body, and then let me take that into reality. But you can't just do it once. It doesn't work once. You got to go and then come back, and then go and then come back, and you're molding it into clay, right? You are taking this reality and you're deciding how to participate with it each time. And you don't have to have the answers right away. So for me, I did not have the answers right away. I looked several different times. I followed my instincts, right? I decided this is my moment. I should go to visit a family member on 4th of July weekend. I think I decided on the 2nd that I was going to go for 4th of July, right? So I like literally got a flight the next day and was like, out I go, right? Was it rational? No. It was what I knew I should do, though. And when you tune in, when you have the ability to be very, very aware, then you're able to tune into things that are taking you in the direction that you want to go. So this is really kind of an important distinction, because sometimes we tune in and we go like, I got the impulse, but what we're tuning into is not the pool, right? What we're tuning into is life is expensive. It's awfully crowded in that state that I want to go to. There's probably going to be fireworks every night. People probably shoot off guns. They do here. Whatever your preconceptions are, right? If you're in that space, or like I like to say, in the town of worry, stress, anger, right? Even if it's in that belief system level where you're not really fully aware of it, and then you get an inspiration, then you're not necessarily going in any direction you want to go. So this ability to heighten awareness and to bring yourself into an emotional condition where you are going to match up with what you actually want is really important. So there's unknown in there, right? There's openness in it. There's the ability to just kind of let go and go like, I know it's out there even when I don't know it's out there, and I have no proof that it's out there, but I know it's out there. I know it's out there, right? So this is what this process was like for me. And I knew that I wanted a fenced yard. That's it. I knew I wanted a fenced yard. And I knew that I wanted my cats to be able to have jungle inside the fence. And then I saw some pools and I was like, a pool looks like a nice thing to have, right? And then that idea came about, right? Then it started to germinate, right? So as you go through the process, your best ideas may not be the ones you start with, right? So it didn't come to me for a long time. And in fact, it didn't, so when I came here to this area, I saw 3 places. Hello, thank you so much. Let me see who this is. It says it's a Facebook user. So I'm going to see if I can click into actual Facebook and see who is this talking to me, my sweet talkers. I can't tell. Tell me who you are. Just write your name. Thanks. So here I was in this area going like, I think this might be cool. This could be cool. I saw 3 places, and one, hey Anna, hi, how are you? Yes, I love my pool. I love my pool. That's what we're talking about, right? It's like, I didn't even know I liked a pool. I didn't even know that this was going to bring even more peace, ease, happiness to my life until I opened up to it. Literally, I avoided pools for like 30 years. I was like, no, I only swim in the ocean. I don't swim in a pool. Well, I swim in a pool now and I like it, right? But only because it kept opening up, right? So you have to do this work where you remain open, where you are okay in the unknown a little bit, where you put out those requests from a place of knowing that your life is going to go in a direction that feels good over and over and over, right? And then you end up with the dream. Now, I didn't know this was my dream. It is absolutely my dream now. I love it, right? But it doesn't mean it's everybody's dream. So your dream could look very, very, very different. And so, okay, so here we are talking about like, how do you go through that process of keep coming around, keep coming around? I like to think of it as a map, right? So anger is over here, and restlessness is over here, and irritation is over here, and joy and fun and playfulness and contentedness. Those are all towns over here, right? And so you can't get from over here to over there very easily. You cannot get there unless you travel yourself, right? I was going to say get in a car and go, but you don't have to get in a car. That would be me because I love to drive. But you've got to travel yourself, right? You've got to be willing to let go of the resentments. You've got to be willing to decide that there's something in your current environment that you can use as your excuse to feel better and better and better and better. And then from that space, then you do your inspiration, right? Then you find those little moments where you go like, oh, I got this idea. I should do the thing, right? And it leads you to this kind of outcome, okay? But let me tell you what, when I was in my mother's guest room, 9 by 12, on a little twin bed with my 2 cats, freezing cold because it's cold up there, it didn't feel like I was going in the direction of my dreams, right? But I kept doing the work. I kept going to the spirituality classes. I kept doing the emotional work. I kept deciding every day to prioritize my spiritual and emotional condition over everything else in order to decide that there was a future for me that was worth being in. And even though I didn't know what it was, even though it didn't seem all that possible, right? My husband had just died. It seemed like, yeah, no, it's probably not going to work out for me, right? If I was being logical, probably not. But just be in the space you're in, okay? And then allow and feel better. Allow and feel better. Allow and feel better and get inspired. So I wanted to talk about that, but I also wanted to talk about kind of how we live in some of those towns, right? Because when we talk about anger, frustration, irritation, it's like a mood. We think like, yeah, so what? I was angry. So what? That person deserved for me to be angry at them, right? But we don't think about where we kind of live, what town we live in, and what it looks like when we live in that town, right? That town of anger, that town of frustration, that town of irritation, that town of things really don't actually work out for me. That town of, life is a little harder than I want it to be. And, even though I think it's going to get better, and it does get better, sometimes it always goes back to not being so good. No, that's where you live. That's where you chose to live. You took out your hard-earned cash and you paid rent in that town. So how are you going to move those belief system, right, where you really live into a better neighborhood? One little bit at a time. And I will say that for me and for many of my clients, all my clients, it is essential that you know where you are, not just for the moment, but where you live as well, and where you want to go in terms of how you want to feel and what that looks like in terms of your thinking, what it means in terms of what resentments you have to let go of, what arguments you have to stop having. You have to decide, I'm just not ever going to have that argument again. You guys all have a friend who, if you say a single word, they go like, right? You can push somebody's button with a single word, but you don't have to have those buttons. But you have to be willing to unprogram yourself. You have to be willing to take on a new way of thinking. You have to be willing to say to yourself, I am open, even though I might not be 7 years old, and when I'm totally open and everybody tells me what to do, right? I'm a grown person. I know how to do things. Well, do you? Do you? Right? Did your best thinking lead you someplace you want to go? Or did your best thinking lead you someplace shy of where you want to go? So the reason I'm bringing all of this up is because I want you to know that you can do that. I'm going to show you, this is the website. I think actually I even have it here bigger so you can see it. Go to Roadmap to More Joy. It's just a simple quiz. It's just a 2-minute quiz, right? But it's going to ask you really important questions that seem like fun, right? So that's the best part, is when things are important, they can also be fun, right? So be honest with yourself. Ask yourself the question, have a little fun, and also face yourself for 2 minutes, and then see where it lands you. The outcome of that quiz is going to give you a lot of information about what those silly questions mean in terms of how you might be feeling and how you can move from those feelings to another better lifestyle, to a better feeling, right? You can always reach out to me and let me know how that goes, or let me know what's going on in your life. And I love that. And feel free to leave comments here. And I just want to say that having a pool, whatever version of a pool you have or want to have, having a pool makes all the difference to your happiness. It makes a ton of difference. So, what does that mean? It means that how we surround ourselves, what we choose to put on our bedside table so that we wake up with it right there, what we choose to put in the room that we open our eyes up into every day, what we choose to put in our kitchens where we nourish ourselves, and how we choose to treat the people around us so that those emails that are not nice, they can come and they can be super not nice, or they can come and they can be like, I really respect you and I really like you, but this is not working out and we need to do something different. That's a totally different lifestyle, isn't it? So all of that is your surroundings. What comes out of your mouth is creating those surroundings. What goes on in your head is creating those surroundings. What happens in your house is creating those surroundings, right? So enjoy your pool or your snowstorm or whatever it is that makes you just a little bit easier for you to find that peace, that quietness, that ability to say, yeah, this is a good life. This is a good planet. This is a good space. I like it here, right? And find that as often as possible. Okay, so I feel like that's really the big message about how having a pool impacts your happiness. I don't think I left anything unsaid. I'm going to check in with myself right here, right now. And it's just, when you're in a conversation, I do a lot of conversational podcasts. When you're in a conversation, there's always so many ideas, and I'm always trying to get them all out, right? But when you're by yourself and I'm talking to you, and I really want you to be that other half of that conversation, right? So please put it in the comments. Let's have this extended conversation. But as we do that, sometimes you got to check in with yourself and say, gee, did I actually say everything that we need to say? So I guess one thing I didn't say is we're living in a world that is massively, massively impacted by what goes on up here and what goes on in here. So pay attention to that, right? Really tune into yourself. And if you want to take it a step further, take the quiz. And if you want to take it a step further, get involved in my communities. And if you want to take it even a step further, get involved in my paid communities, right? So that you can really find it and make it solid in your life. Not everybody was given the best start in the world. Most people were not given a great start in the world. Few people are. But not everybody has been given the best start. And certainly many, many people have had some hard luck along the way. But you get to choose what you do about it right now. So I think that's it for today. Thank you for spending this 20 minutes with me. And I will see you next week.